We got John, we got Rolo, we got Carl, we got Jin. It's going to be great times. Topic of conversation is vetting. Why is blah, 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 blah. Vetting sucks. I have to take a small pause. Can we just give some acknowledgement here to Rolo for having the most masculine shirt in this space?
Well, you kept talking about Miller Lite masculinity or whatever the hell. I don't know what the hell you're trying to popularize, but I'm like, I got a shirt like that.
Dude, I love that. Yeah, no, it's literally Miller Lite version of masculinity where the symbols, it's all about beer and truck nuts and guns, shooting statically at the range, pretending that you're defending your family against the barbarian hordes. It's just like Miller Lite.
You didn't get that rant, Rolo? That was my best one.
Ooh.
Which one?
Oh, the one where I started a new rock company, Don't Be Dot Soy.
So I guess the big start, Rolo, lead us off here. Let's not do the what are we up to? We'll find that out during the cast. No. Vetting. Give us your thoughts if people haven't read your article yet.
Well, I have can you guys hear me okay? Because I'm in the new studio here and I'm just using this mic today. So
nice, John.
Let me know if you get any echo or feedback or anything like that.
A tiny echo, but you're crystal clear from here.
Okay.
It looks much nicer than the bathroom.
Yeah, it's better. Well, I was thinking about putting some acoustic back here, but I don't know what I'm going to do with the back of this thing. It's better than it's certainly better than the tropical print background. So, no, I listened to it was actually started by you guys, I think, when we were talking about was it you that said something about vetting, and then Hunter Drew jumped in and said something about it, and then that started this whole conversation, I think, and then Rich jumped in as well. And we've had this conversation several times before, but I think it just sort of got reheated in the last few weeks. I think was it 2 weeks ago that we were talking about this.
Yeah, about there.
Yeah, and so I think what's interesting is that there is a certain element within the manosphere, and yes, you are still in the manosphere, at least according to the MSM. But anyways, there's a certain element in the manosphere that I will not be naming, but there's this idea that as soon as you say something, they have to take the binary polar opposite. Man, now I'm going to have to go get my glasses on here.
Got to scowl better.
Yeah, the binary polar opposite. So it's interesting to me when you say something critical that is a key element to these guys' belief set, that they have to take the most binary extreme opposite position, because that's what they do is they cast if you're critical of, say, vetting, and vetting is something that's very implicit to their belief set, then they have to come at you and be like, well, what you're saying is, it's like that same shit with Jordan Peterson and that reporter. It's like, what you're saying is, and it's usually like the complete polar opposite of anything. It's like, no, we're not saying that betting isn't important. We're just saying it's not as important as you guys make it out to be.
Well, I'm saying it's not important.
End all, because people change, because women change. So, and I think it's interesting because it seems to be integral to this idea that these guys know every aspect of the chick that they're engaging with, as if they're these, there's these great thinkers well, maybe, let's write a list here and write about her pros and her cons. And then maybe I want, that, that's the thought process that's going on. And bullshit. Yeah. And so what we weren't saying, don't vet. We were saying it is important, but it is not the be all end all, because it's important for you to be able to improvise, to analyze, to understand things in a fluid way, rather than thinking that you sitting down there and making a list of pros and cons is going to be something that's going to be set forever. Yeah. And that's the thing that gets me and I think this sort of comes back to this purple pill mindset. I don't know what the hell that is, John.
Sorry, the chat wanted to see it. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, hey, what's your thoughts on this, John? You never really chimed in very much. Not that I remember, anyway.
If you're not vetting women to come into your life, I'd also like to tell you about this cryptocurrency called BitConnect that I think is Are you like, are you joking me? Like, dude, 100%, dude. If this woman, okay, I'm American, so we're just gonna use America's legal system, just an example, right? I'm gonna go worst case scenario here, but this is literally could happen, right? If you don't vet a woman, this woman can literally take you to court. She could play the legal system against you and literally put you in jail if you can't keep up with child support payments or alimony. Okay, you do not want to risk that. You need to be vetting somebody if they can put you in jail or financially enslave you for 18 years. Like, absolutely, you need to be vetting. You need to be vetting everybody in your life, not only just women, but men, friends, family members. I mean, if you want to get to the top, you have to have a close inner circle of people that are completely vetted by you to meet the standards that you have set for your life. If you're a man in this community who is most likely trying to live an above average life.
You know what's funny? I think
that thing.
No, it's a good one. I think Carl and I and you and Rolo are going to be on like opposite sides of this one, because I think vetting is completely ridiculous and completely useless, and it's subpar next to boundaries. It's boundaries for the naive man. But Carl, you go on yours first, because I kind of know where you're thinking on this one.
Well, my view on it is, of course, you need to do some level of vetting. You have to, and I think vetting is a shitty word. Yeah. I think of it as due diligence. And I think of it as getting to know a person. Because you need to, if you're going to have a relationship with anyone, man, woman, whatever, you're going to need to know, are there any serious things you should be aware of by associating with this person? Like, if you're working in something that requires security clearance, it's helpful to know if you're associating with people that have communist ties to, well, that's a bit of an old reference, but it's important to know if you require any type of clearance based on a clean rap sheet, to not hang around people who do drugs or people who have rap sheets. Because it doesn't take much. Let's say you have a friend who does a little bit of coke on the weekends and then stays up all night tweeting. If you're hanging around with them and you lose your job, if you get caught with drugs and you give them a ride one day and they happen to drop an 8-ball in your car and you get pulled over, you're screwed. You're fired. So those things are important, but I don't think vetting in terms of a relationship is that useful, purely for the reason that it's a snapshot moment. You're seeing, okay, who is this person right now and what have they done the last couple of years? That's all you're doing. That is not a good predictor of what they are going to do in the future, especially not if you start counting things like mental illness that could develop, other forms of illness. You can compare it to, like, can I see your medical file versus a genetic test? So if you see your medical file, I know exactly what's been wrong with you for the rest of your life. In your case, Ryan, I'm guessing something with your eyes based on the shirts. I haven't been able to take a decent shirt shot in weeks because you've been wearing white Henleys all the time, and they're like the most standard generic shirts you can find. It's like your blog content. But anyway,
I'm about to lose my record-breaking nice streak in a minute. You son of a bitch.
No. So anyway, not to go on, but just a case of do your due diligence. But it's not going to be a good predictor of the future, and you're going to have other strategies involved too.
Yeah, well, that's why I hate it. I'll ramble on here for a bit. It started off just as a flippant tweet. I was reading through Reddit. Somebody made a good point, so I kind of tweeted about it on there. I didn't really think about it until all of a sudden the Miller Lite masculinity crowd and Hunter both started getting on my ass about it. So I actually had to look into it. And 10,000 word essays later, I think vetting is horrible. Because vetting is basically a value-based system. And the first problem is whose values. You get a guy who's been raised by a divorced mom who goes to the church, and Rolo's written about this, same as Dalrock, where the church is a lot of man up and marry that hose. Garbage in, garbage out. Your values are most likely going to be their values, and they guaranteed won't be your values. At the same time, like Carl said, vetting is a snapshot. It tells you what this girl is today. Not what she's like a year from now, once the mask comes off and she acts like a real person who turns out was like 30, wasted her 20s, and now wants to get married, she can act right for a bit, enough for your vetting process to finish. But then it's going to come off, and she's going to be that same chick who was blowing dudes behind a dumpster. At the same time, your ego invested in it, and that's the problem I find is the worst. When a guy vets, he wants the girl to win, and so he wants her to win, and he'll ignore things that don't meet his criteria. And then after a year, he's got that cost sunk fallacy where, well, I vetted her perfectly, she can do no wrong. So then he offloads his ability to enforce boundaries because he's so focused on the vetting. And this is what I prefer as an alternative. And I think a lot of this is just a semantic argument, but boundaries. It's like John said, if you're going to bring some crazy bitch into your life, you have a boundary there where, you know, as soon as she starts acting crazy, I don't put up with that. And then she's gone. You'll let anybody into your life, but if they don't meet those boundaries thresholds, and the reason I like them the best is because they aren't value systems that are given to you by somebody else. There's something you develop through hard-earned experience. Like, John, you can vouch for me on this one. You've probably dated a lot of chicks who probably aren't the best. I know I have, and I'm pretty sure Rolo has, and Carl.
I'm a dog, bro. I have slayed some dragons.
Yeah,
but I mean, at the end of the day,
each one of those dragons taught you one thing that you're not ever going to have a bitch in your life do again. Am I right?
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, they're just means to an end. Like at the end of the day, if you got to take home a 6 from the bar or go home and jerk off, I'm banging the 6. So yeah. I mean, you accumulate life lessons and skill with every girl that you successfully seduce. Okay, and it's a compound effect. That's why I tell these guys. It's like an MMORPG. You got to start like killing the low. You got to start like killing the low level monsters. Yeah, you got to grind, bro. You got to grind through all the fucking slags to get to the that top tier girls, and it is what it is.
Yeah, the vetting guys, when I see them, they always talk about like they haven't done any grinding. The vetting is that tablet high from on the mont that gives them the qualities they want, and they never actually pick real qualities anyway. They pick secondary characteristics. That's why the sun hat god reference is so apt. A girl wastes her 20s on cock, puts on a summer dress and a sun hat, sits in a cornfield, takes some Tinder shots, and all of a sudden she's traditionally conservative. Like, fuck off.
No such thing.
Yeah. But I am glad that one's taken off. It's not so much about the Miller Lite masculinity, but I do love the sun hat gods.
Well, I think that's pretty much with anything we do, we like to think that we have it. Like, I like what you said about sunk cost fallacy, because we like to think that whatever we spend our time on is going to be worthwhile. That we don't like to think that maybe it's a jar to our system, it's a jar to our egos if we have to sort of realize that maybe we didn't read signals, or we didn't read signs, or we invested in something that was a losing horse on the horse race, right?
Right.
And we don't like to think that we've done something like that. It can be in education, it can be in work, it can be with women, it can be in all sorts of different areas of your life. So I think what happens is these guys overemphasize the importance of vetting. I'm not saying vetting's not important. We're going to do, what's interesting is we're going to do vetting naturally anyways, because human beings compare things. We want to, if I got a little apple and I got a big apple, which one is going to sustain me for longer? Which one am I going to like the best? I'm going to go for the big apple. I'm going to go for the one that looks like it's going to have the most survival benefit to me. Okay. Same thing. We make comparisons. That's why I laugh when people say, don't be so judgmental. No, be more judgmental. People need to have that's how you develop wisdom, is you understand, you learn from experiences. Experiences teaches harsh, but it teaches death. And so you learn from this kind of stuff, and then you move on, you make better decisions, right? So your good decisions come from your bad decisions. And if I'm hoping that you're making good, non-life threatening, non-life destroying decisions, but you're still going to make mistakes. You're still going to make no vetting process is going to be perfect. So like when I was writing about this, and we've talked about vetting like several times before. I know we're going to talk about this again with Rich at some point, because Rich and I have talked about this quite a bit. He says, well, what do you do? How do you vet for a woman? I said, well, I want to make sure that she's on board with my life plan, that I'm the one that's in frame. And I always tell guys, it's more important to vet yourself than it is to vet the woman, so that you know yourself and you know what you're capable of, and you know that you know yourself well enough that you can see yourself in the long term with this person. Now, even if you make the best decisions, even if you know yourself, even if you think you know this chick, situations change, man. You don't know, you can't possibly put her in every single situation where she might be, or she might manifest some kind of behavior, some kind of mindset that is a deal breaker for you, right? That's the thing is, I think what's interesting is like guys think that they're going to always get honest signals. Like they have like some because they're game aware, because they're red pill aware, that they have some idea that they're going to get some kinds of honest signals and that they can work from those honest signals.
Yeah, women never lie. Once you're alpha enough, bro.
And here's the thing is like what I laugh at is because these guys don't have the experience with more women. What they do is they think that women are going to be telling you these honest signals, or that like you have to, because you're this man of quality, that you're going to suddenly magically be able to figure out whether she's sending you honest signals or she's telling you fake signals. And I'll tell you right now, for women who are in their like, you know, in their party years, in their 20s, all the way up to 29 or something, they're not going to give you honest signals. They don't care. They don't, you know, what's interesting is like a woman in her party years, if you go by the medium as the message and you understand her behavior and what she's doing, and you accept that and you use that as the language that she's telling you, if you go with that, she's going to send you more honest cues than she will when she's desperate, when she's in her epiphany phase, when she has to change her behavior and be disingenuous to get a man, to lock a guy. That's when you see a woman who's like between the ages of 29 and 31 and she needs to lock a guy down because she knows that she needs long-term security. That's when she's going to try to change herself so that you will believe that she's one way. And once she's got you locked in, then it's bait and switch, right? Yeah. It's like,
how do you bet lies?
Yeah, well, it's like just like we were saying about the Sun Hat Brigade. It's like, you know, suddenly they're all tradcon women. Suddenly that, you know, they have you know 3 different kids from 2 different fathers, and suddenly they want to get right with God, and suddenly now that they have this motivation to be this wonderful, you know, angelic, you know, sun hat woman, you know, tradcon woman. And it's like that's a more dishonest signal than the women that you would be with in your earlier days, because they don't care. They don't have to do anything for you. That's what feminism teaches men, or teaches women, is it teaches them that they should never do anything for the express pleasure of a man. So when you go through your 20s and that's their MO, you know, never do anything for a man, then suddenly she gets to be 29 to 31 and she wants to do everything for you, and she wants to be this perfect, you know, Susie homemaker all of a sudden. Then you're like, if you're beta enough to believe that, and you think, well, I finally found a great gal, I think I'm going to settle down and have 3 kids with her. We're going to have a dog in the yard. If you think that, you really have not had an education in women up to that point. So, and people say, well, you're just being negative about that. No, I'm not being negative. I'm saying, what is their motivation? What is their incentive? Women at that particular age, when they get to be 29 to 31 years old, they go through their epiphany phase. Their motivation, their incentive is to find long-term security, whether that's financial security, whether that's emotional security, whether that's finding a guy to have babies with, whatever, looking for that long-term security so they can settle down and start a family. Why would you change your behavior?
In a lot of cases,
incentivized for that. And so that these are cues that guys think that they have some sort of magical sensitivity to, but when they get to that point and they finally find that gal who's wearing a sun hat and she's out there, you know, wanting to go camping with you and the kids, well, as a single mother, you know, you have to ask yourself why. What is her incentives? Why is she doing this? Why is she who she is right now? Is she telling you, oh, it was so wild and crazy back in my college years? Is she telling you is she still pining for a guy who's is she an alpha widow? Is she still pining for a guy in her past? You're not going to find that out. She's not going to tell you that up front. You have to figure those things out. And the way you do that is you have to get involved with that person. And you have to understand who she is and who, you know, what she's really all about. No woman is going to be the same person all throughout every phase of her maturity. That's one of the reasons I wrote the second book. I wrote Preventive Medicine, so to give guys a timeline so they know what they can expect from women during different phases of their maturity.
Yeah. And you can't vet that either. You're right. Because look at this. If you're vetting for, I want a girl who wants a relationship to start a family. Guess what kind of girl was? A girl that's done sucking dick behind the dumpster and wants to start a family too. She's also exactly what you're looking for because that's what she wants.
But Ryan, seriously,
I think
I think you guys are being overly negative. I mean, look at all the work she put in. I mean, she bought a nice sundress. She got a nice sun hat. She
the
learned
tattoo is above the sleeve length, so you don't see it if she's in
She really wants to make a change.
She covered up her cum slut tattoo that she had on her lower belly. She learned how to make mac and cheese without canned cheese. I mean, she's really put in a lot of work here, people. I mean, don't distrust them. I mean, you should trust women when they get to this age. And as long as they smell nice, that's all the vetting you need.
And shower every day.
Shower.
Well, listen, on a more serious note, though, honestly, though, you as a man, you have to have at least some form of attempted vetting. You can't just let anybody into your life and accept everybody like some delusional social justice warrior. You need to have standards.
Well, you
need to have some. Well, yeah, you need to have some sort of hoop that she has to jump through. And you can like, I mean, for example, you know what I always say, like, I know this is not very like people say this is not alpha or whatever, but at the end of the day, I definitely say if you're seriously vetting a girl, I'm totally all for checking her cell phone. Check your cell phone, check her emails. If you really want to know what you're getting into, you're considering this person for long term. I mean, you're going to learn a lot, and you always make sure you check the one when she sends messages to her best friend. You don't check her phone because she sends all the dirt to her best friend. We had a guy call into my show yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. No, it was the day before yesterday. Mm-hmm. And, his girlfriend, he was accusing her of, or he had like this, his spider sense was tingling, saying like, I feel like she's cheating. And then she's like, fine, okay, check my phone. And she handed him her phone. And then he took the phone, he started going through it. And because this was my episode called, female understanding, female manipulation and emotional manipulation.
She sanitized her phone, didn't she?
So no, this is what she did. She handed him the phone. She didn't think he had the balls to go through it, and he started going through it. Then she snatched the phone back, started crying and saying, "You don't trust me. You don't love me. Where is this going? I can't believe you." And then the next day she came back with her phone. She's like, "Okay, I decided you can check my phone." I was like, "Oh, okay. Okay, now that you went through the phone all night, you deleted all the fucking dirt." And he called in, poor guy, he's living out in Guam. He's 32. And he called in like kind of, just like, what the hell do I do? And we gave it to him straight. And in that situation, you have to read in between the lines. And that is a form of vetting. Now something
I think that's boundaries,
hidden.
Though.
No, that's a form of vetting for sure.
A strong boundary. A girl who hides her phone from me and gets emotional about it, I ain't putting up with that. And here's the beauty of why it's not vetting. It's a boundary in that I don't put up with it. So it's very male-centered. You're not telling a girl what she can or cannot do. You don't care what's in her heart. You care what's up her, vagina.
I think we're saying the same thing, though. I think we're going back to what you said in regard. I think it's just semantics because it definitely is a form of vetting. But that being said, yeah, I agree with you on that 100%. Like, there needs to be some sort of boundaries. There needs to be some sort of standards. Like, you cannot just be a fucking doormat for these bitches to come through and walk all over you.
Take what they want and walk.
Dude, I know a guy that drives a fucking Lambo, and he met a girl off of seeking arrangement. And within 1 month of dating her, he was paying all of her bills and paying her an allowance and buying her illegal stuff. But that being said, like
Bitcoin?
Month, yes, exactly. Bitcoin. But so like within 1 month, he's paying all her overhead, plus giving her spending money, plus funding her illicit lifestyle. And then the guy comes back to me, a broken man, when he finds out she's a psychopath. And she's thoughting all over Instagram as well. And I'm just like, dude, you deserve this. Like, I know guys that will date a girl for a month and then he'll give her, like, some credit card companies let you make 2 cards for 1 account, and he'll just give her a card. and be like, yeah, just go for it, baby. And then he catches her spending money on a guy like me, and then he's like, oh, I didn't know. Oh, what the fuck happened? I didn't get it. Like, so those kind of guys, they're a dime a dozen. And if you're watching this show, you're probably not one, and I fucking hope you're not one. But
better not
absolutely, you absolutely need some form of vetting and or boundaries, without a shadow of a doubt. A man with no standards is a fucking joke, period.
Thoughts, Carl? You've been quiet there, and I haven't heard you crack a beer or give a rant in a couple minutes. The gin hasn't kicked in yet.
I'm saving my beers for when I go on with Jack Napier and Rob later. And I was on a pub crawl yesterday with a couple of buddies of mine, and we hit up 13 pubs for 13 pints. So I didn't exactly have a huge desire for a beer right now, but no, I think we're basically saying the same thing. It's vetting is a preemptive process, and then you have boundary enforcement, which is a running process. So you do that as it goes. But it's like what John's guide did there and asked to see your phone. That should not be a one-off. Maybe that should happen more often if you're suspicious. And, some girls, like I have 8 burner phones within, 4 feet of where I'm sitting here. So it's not hard for a girl to get a hoe phone. I mean, I know I got a hoe phone. So it's not hard
I love
for
that name.
Secondary phone, just in case. So the way I think of it is get enough experience to where you get your spidey sense dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
And once your spidey sense is dialed in and you've seen some actual shit, like I've learned to never date a BPD girl because one almost stabbed me.
I've also learned never to do business with a BPD guy because he almost stabbed me.
And
cocaine tweet storms.
I tried to bang a fat girl once, and I've just done 8 weeks of physical therapy on my back to fix that. So you kind of learn as you go along, and the more experience you have and the more exposure you have to women, the more you can trust your instincts. It's like the whole thing with eating intuitively. I'm not sure if you know the concept. But it's essentially you have counting calories where you weigh everything you eat. And then you have eating intuitively, which means you're naturally kind of looking to dial in your portion sizes. The best way to be able to eat intuitively and not gain a bunch of weight is by weighing your food for 18 months. Because at that point, you know roughly how big 5 grams of butter are. You know roughly how much 100 rice is 100 grams and so on. So you can do that intuitively. Same way a cokehead can tell, the difference between a 5th and an 8 ball.
Yeah. Good advice.
Sight.
That's really good advice. That's really good advice.
So that's why I like, these guys with game. Like Rollo, John, you, me. We've had a bunch of girls under our belt. And I know we argued with Smeagol on the other channel on that one, where he's like, chasing after women isn't really the goal. I'm like, it kind of is. Because without somebody telling you what's in your best interest and what to look out for, you kind of have to learn it the hard way with as low of stakes as possible. And I think plating is probably the best way to achieve that.
Yeah, I agree with you, because once you get these, if a guy's like, I have 11 plates, I'm like, okay, he's probably full of shit, because managing 11 girls at the same time, it's a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, you're not doing much else.
They're not managing that.
No.
So same thing. Like I found that the peak number of plates I can comfortably manage with my lifestyle is around between 3 and 4.
Yeah, 4 is ideal. 4 with the open slot for one night bangs.
Yeah, well, you do have the one nights, but if you're thinking like plating girls you're dating over, let's say, a period of months, or maybe even have them non-monogamous for years, it's because every girl requires some degree of maintenance work.
Yeah.
And, you're not going to be like, you can't only send her that one, hey, let's bang text at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday and expect her to show up. You have to do some maintenance work. There's going to be some phone calls. And, if you're dating anyone under 30, there's going to be some Snapchatting or something like that. So it's always some maintenance work. But as you actually get to that point where you've actually done it, you've known so many different girls intimately that you can recognize their behaviors real early. Like you can recognize a BPD girl because you tell her no once and she goes nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I like about John's
Unpopular-
example too, is with that phone. As soon as he said, "Let me see your phone for a second," her reaction was all he needed to know. That was it.
Yep.
And if you're
Exactly.
confident, after experience, I guarantee you the next girl he asks to see your phone, if she starts crying, he already knows. He doesn't even have to look.
Here's an unpopular red flag. If a girl has Snapchat, don't trust her.
But that's like tattoos. Every girl has them now. My girl has them. And that's why I don't like vetting, because it's these secondary signals that don't matter. If she acts right, I think that matters. Like in my town where I ran game, Victoria, everybody had a tattoo. So you couldn't vet for that. It didn't really matter anymore.
Mhm.
Well, I also think it's one of those things with you can tell that all the vetting guys are from generally the original 13 states of the Union. But the reason why I say it is that their signals are so fucking south. I'm surprised it doesn't have a fucking Confederate flag painted on it.
She owns a cotton field. Well, I can't get with this one.
Well, does she go to church? Well, I hate to break it to you, but like 95% of the girls in Western Europe, they don't go to church. England, not unless someone died.
Canada, nope.
And, Eastern Europe, it's a bit better. But even like the traditional high hardcore Christian countries like Poland, that demographic is rapidly declining. So that's not really a good sign. Knowing how to cook, usually a decent sign that the girl has some sense in her. But then again, is that like the best thing you're testing for? Is she learned how to apply heat to fire? Could you have slightly higher standards, please? What's next? She wears clean panties?
What's Japan like with this, by the way, John? I don't even know.
With what?
Are they good? Like, do they go to the Shinto church every weekend?
No, man. It's a bunch of godless savages over here. They don't give a shit.
Yeah, plus, even if, and all their signals are like sun had goddess signals. That's why it's so easy to be a sun had goddess, because you know that the standards these guys are using for vetting is like the Enron code of conduct, code of ethics. Yeah, it's there and it's very well developed, but fuck all people follow it. So it's it's easy. Like, if you want to be a sun hat goddess, find 8 hours out of your week. Then you have to set up a part-time to hit up church. Then you have to be able to do an Instagram photo shoot of you cooking something beige. And then you need to put out like a half an hour to search through, the scripture search engine of some kind. So you get some scripture to kick out there on top of one of your pictures. And that's pretty much all you have to do, because all the characteristics they're looking for are things that are easy to imitate. I mean, the Sun Hat Gods are basically the female equivalent of the dude who he volunteers in his community. He's at church, he goes to his job, and he beats the crap out of his wife on the weekends.
Huh. What's it like on the southwest side of the states there, Rollo? I know you're more of a religious guy than the rest of us godless heathens.
Well, I'm not going to say I don't have a faith. I do have a faith, but it's not like over here. I don't know. It's tough to talk about religion here because there's like, and I hate to put it this way, but there's like white people religion, and then there's the rest of religion. So it's like if you're one of two things. You're either a Catholic here, or you're evangelical Christian, or you have some sort of franchise that you belong to, and it's kind of like what I call it's kind of like Mick religion. It's kind of everything is prepackaged. You can pretty much bet that the pastor is going to talk about, certain things. He's going to deliver it in a certain way. You're going to be like Dalrock calls it the Sunday morning nightclub. So if you're single, you're probably going to be, you use that as your occasion to meet other people. There's just, I don't know, there's evangelical culture is so very, I don't want to say it's twisted, but it's very homogenized right now. And that's one thing I'm going to be talking about on Religion and the Red Pill coming up very soon, is the homogenization and the I guess franchisation evangelical Christianity. That's going to be.
Is that like the mega churches, or are we talking even smaller scale?
Well, not even mega churches. Like, it's interesting. You criticize the West Coast. When I was in Florida, when I was living in Florida, man, there are more churches and strip malls in Florida than there are like CVS or Walgreens or something. I mean, there's more,
more churches than condoms.
Right.
If you go
to Florida, Rollo's right.
If you go to any high school on a Sunday morning, I will guarantee you in that auditorium, there will be a church in there. And they'll be doing the same thing. It'll be the same kind of music. It'll be the same kind of, it's like this, you know how like when you can like, if you drive from like Los Angeles all the way to like Orlando, if you go through major cities, or not even major cities, just minor cities, you can be guaranteed to see certain things. You're going to see Bed Bath & Beyond. You're going to see, McDonald's. You're going to see Home Depot. You're going to see all of these major chains. It's like that kind of mentality. We've franchised religion so that you know what you're getting when you walk in. If you go to a Taco Bell in LA and you go into a Taco Bell in Florida,
same.
It's going to be the same shit. It's going to be the same food that you're eating. You can pretty much guarantee. You can go and do that in Japan, probably. I mean, you go to Japan, you're going to get the same kind of food that you're going to get at McDonald's in LA.
Oh, the Japanese KFC though, far superior to the local stuff.
Definitely not.
Yeah, you like the homegrown
homogenization.
That's a whole other story we could go into later.
I think what I like what you were talking about with respect to earning the experience with women. Like people always say, well, what about Rollo? Rollo was beta and then he was alpha and then he was beta and now he's alpha again, whatever. It's like I've gone through so many different phases in my life that I feel like I can speak to certain aspects with respect to like raising a daughter from being an infant all the way to 21 years old. I'm actually glad for that experience because it helps me to help you guys, like so you can know what you can understand, so you can see this sort of developmental process that goes along. And when a girl in Western society anyways, is 5 years old all the way up to 21 years old, and how that affects who she is. The problem that I have with this purple pill understanding of making vetting the be all end all, like I kind of fit in the middle between everybody here because I understand what John's saying. I'm not saying that it's not important to vet. It is. It's very important to vet. But it's also important to do it from a position of experience. And that's what these guys lack. They lack the experience. They lack the understanding. They lack getting punched in the jaw by a chick. When you get married and you're 19 years old, and I'm not picking on anybody in particular because I see this same dynamic happen with youth pastors at evangelical churches. Like they'll meet their girlfriend at 17. They do everything they can possibly do to sneak away and try to have sex, but they want to do everything right and everything. And then they get married at 19 for whatever reason. And so you got these guys who then decide that they want to be pastors, or they want to in some way be an authority when it comes to marriage and a good relationship and men and women and all that stuff. And they have no experience to really speak of because they met their girlfriend at 17 in church camp. Then at 19, they got married. Maybe the guy goes off to the military. Maybe he doesn't, whatever. And so there's this, and both of them cannot really speak from experience because they go through their 20s being, playing house, like being, not having any experience with the opposite sex. But then they get to be about 29, 30 years old, or they find the manosphere, and suddenly somebody takes them seriously as an authority on relationships. It's like you're sophomoric, right? The wise fool. You have no experience. And these are like principles. Like what do I vet for? How would you fucking know? How would you know what to vet for? Because you've been for most of your 20s, all you have done is played house with one single woman. So if you're going to tell me, like I would be, if Ryan wanted to say, here's a list of things that you can vet for and look for, or if John said, here's what you should look for in a woman, this is vetting. I'm going to take your opinions and your judgments far more seriously than the guy who's up on the high school stage at the whatever franchise, evangelical franchise, telling me, with his wife, telling me how men and women are. No, you're not going to tell me that when I've got a notch count of 40 plus. I've gone through a BPD. I've gone through marriage. I've gone through childbearing. I've gone through all of this stuff. And you're going to tell me You at 29 years old, you're going to tell me what a good relationship is? No, you're speaking from a position of ignorance. Yeah. And that's what gets me with these guys. So as soon as I say, you know what, vetting is important, but it's not the be all end all, that's when they go, oh my God, I can't believe Rollo said that vetting's not important. That's not what I said, dumbass. I'm just saying.
Angry Rollo, go.
It's important, but it is not as important as you are making it, because you have no experience to even speak from experience. You don't have that. You don't know what you're talking about. So it's like they get into these positions. So you got guys who've been divorced for 15 plus years, and they're going to tell you how to have a good relationship.
Yeah, but their beard's gray now. Of course they know more.
You've got, marriage therapists that are 39 years old crying in their fucking cars because they don't have a fucking relationship or they don't know what to do with themselves. But they're the ones that are going to help you with your marriage. Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? Really?
Dude, I love these name drops.
Calm down.
It blows me away. It blows me away and fucking take that seriously.
Rollo, who hurt you? Rollo, who hurt you? Who hurt you, Rollo?
I'm the one that's fucking binary. No, I'm not the one crying in my fucking car.
Dude,
Rollo,
not since Moses. Not since Moses.
That shit pisses me off. It's like, why are we give people a platform to speak from a position of ignorance.
Yeah.
And that's the worst part, because the people
that's the problem with, okay, so I'm a guy, like I'm like relatively computer savvy, but I'm not like super internet marketing savvy yet. But what I've realized is that in our sphere, like the dating sphere, okay, for like perfect example, this fucking bitch, wing girl method, blatantly stealing Rollo's trademark statement. She's writing an email out. Okay, this is a woman.
She's not writing
an email out.
Other writers.
She's whatever. She's scamming away, and she's saying, "I'd like to talk to you about this concept that I personally have come up called being your mental point of origin." This bitch is a fucking con artist, and that's the biggest problem with the internet, because you got a lot of these guys who are good at blogging and SEO and how to rank to the top of YouTube. You have to do all this. They're really good at gaming the system in regards to getting to the top of the search results on YouTube, Facebook ads, Instagram, and Google. But the reality is, here's the hard truth of life, okay? The guys that are the peak of the peak, that are fucking the creme de la creme, that are getting endless amounts of pussy, you know what the last thing they're fucking doing is? SEO. Getting on the internet and fucking blogging about it and writing a YouTube channel. And I'm saying that as a guy who is doing it because I'm like computer retarded. But at the end of the day, that's the truth. And that there's so much bad information out there. So you have to, when we talk about vetting, the number one person, if you're in this sphere, you should be vetting all four of us. You should be vetting the men that you're taking advice from. And if the advice is not working, then you need to move on. Give the guy 6 months and then move on, because there's so much bad information out there. I got a guy fighting me in the chat right now telling me that RSD is legit. And I'm just like, okay, what? Guys. All right. Go ahead, go for it. Go listen to the fucking the female pickup coaches. Those are my favorite ones. A girl's gonna come on the internet.
John, RSD is legit. They show you what you can do when you do an 8-ball and 4 shots of crystal meth before you hit a nightclub.
I have
RSD were the kings of 31 seconds to masculinity way before me and Donovan came up with the concept.
Oh, you're trending coke.
Dude, these guys, I've got behind the scenes people contacting me from RSD telling me exactly what's going on. That being said, as internet power grows, the transparency, for example, there was this guy called Justin Wayne. I don't know if you guys know about this guy. Vice did an expo on him, but this guy was a legitimate con artist. He was tricking women into thinking that they would make money, and he told them to act XYZ in these infields, okay? And then he was supposed to act as if he was seducing them, and it was so funny because these people were blatantly like arguing with people in the chat and saying like, "Oh no, Justin Wayne's legit. Justin Wayne's legit." And then even when he got busted, they're like, "Oh well, he just had a bad day. He's probably legit." Like,
Yeah, but they
so
vetted him, and
bad.
now they're ego invested. And no, I knew what I was doing. Yeah,
Just be careful who you take advice from. When we talk about vetting, that's a big thing.
Damn straight. Well, that's the problem. If the guy doesn't know, he's looking to an authority to help him learn. But then he has no idea of what a good authority is and what a bad authority is. And I think the only way to get through that, and this is why I love Red Pill as a thing, is that try it and don't trust us is the modus operandi. If it doesn't, and that's the thing, you swap notes. Tell me if it didn't work. Tell me if it did work. And then eventually we kind of get to that point where we all realize these things have worked more often than not, which is funny. That's why I love it. It's a crowdsourced thing. It's like you say, Rollo, it's open sourced. Just stop biting my shit.
We're throwing piles of spaghetti at a wall, and then we're writing back about which brand of spaghetti sticks to the wall better. That's basically all we're doing.
Pretty much.
The whole thing with it is, I mean, just because it's crowdsourced and open source doesn't mean that you have to allow all kinds of shit into it. Like the open software community is going through exactly this crap now because they let too many freaking social justice warriors in. And now they're enforcing codes of conduct. They're chasing away the best coders because the best coders are usually fairly asocial people, and they don't have a lot of technical. They have a lot of technical skill. They don't have a lot of social skill.
Yes.
So
Steve
Jobs was basically the one tech guy who had social skills, and even he got a bad rap for being an asshole. So at that point, you just have to focus on, okay, which people are staying around the longest, which guys are ironically selling the least. Like, I use a ratio on my tweet. I'll do one shill tweet for every 6 good ones. So that means I'll do 6 tweets that are created to make value, and then I'll shill my book or I'll shill a blog post or something. And that's just to make sure that I'm not over capitalizing on my Twitter feed. But if everything you get from me is a shill post, buy this, buy that, if you don't own this, you're soy, if you don't buy the truck nuts, you're clearly not a man shit, then obviously I'm not in it to help you. I'm in there to actually make money off you.
Oh, and hey, who was that chick you guys were just talking about that stole Rollo's line again? What was her name?
Marnie.
Alexander Juan Antonio Cortez.
Yeah, but no.
It was Mean Girl Method.
Yeah, it's funny because you guys were talking about this before, and I went to check it out. Her entire posting history, there is not a single human tweet on the other end. Everything is a manufactured lead to take you to some form of content that she's shilling on.
Yeah,
that should tell you exactly what you need to know right there. Honestly, I have a feeling that I just put a set of tits on the stuff that I write, and you guys would buy it hook, line, and sinker, and that makes me sad.
Dude, go to Twitch. You can see how pathetic men are when there's a set of tits in front of them telling something to do.
Dude, I forced myself to suffer through your crap. Of course I know how bad it is. Oh,
to be honest, I've actually been trolling Twitch lately under a couple of anonymous accounts.
Really?
My man.
Yeah, I've been rolling into chicks who do game streams in their underwear and shit. I've just been going in there and just attacking their skills like we used to do back. I used to play a lot of games online. And one of my things was I used to go on some fairly, I think there's even one of my original rants, I think it's still live on the internet from a raid wipe in World of Warcraft.
Holy jeez.
So I just go on there and I just rant at these girls like, you have no skill. You should not have been hiding behind that crate. You need to be on the other side. Why aren't you flanking them? Come on, girl. And it just going through that. So I keep getting banned off Twitch from various troll accounts. So I need to keep making new accounts, and it's getting exhausting.
Yeah, I don't know how you handled it, John. My tinnitus was acting up because those chicks were shrill. The only thing more shrill than them was the guys that were pacing back and forth like fucking orangutans. I'm going to get this guy.
Oh, yeah.
He disrespects the women. Boot him.
To be honest, dude, chicks on Twitch are a lot like Katy Perry music videos back when she was in her 20s. They're best viewed with the sound off.
I was going to say they're like sailors. 5 out of 10s surrounded by 200 guys. And they start acting, 5s acting like 8s. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, dude, Twitch is the land of 6 and 7s acting like 9s and 10s. That being said, I've decided that I'm just gonna. I got affiliate status with Twitch, so that's funny. But I'm actually gonna start my own Twitch stream called Dude Party. So all you guys follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Hot Dude Life. I'll probably have some of the cast members on here, but I'm going against the grain. I'm just gonna make my own fucking show since they banned me off of those other shows. But I think it's a good medium to go in with a red pill lens and go watch the chat and understand, like, there are level. If you're watching us and you're a guy, you are definitely not at the level of beta male supplication that is on Twitch. So you go there, you will feel a lot better about yourself, because it blows my mind. I don't know why people just think that just because a bitch has a set of tits, she's some form of authority. It is absolutely a fucking joke.
Well, you have to keep in mind, John, the last time most guys on Twitch saw a pair of tits, they were feeding from them.
Yeah, it's a true story.
Like the last time they were close to a vagina, they were coming out of one. I mean, hopefully their mother didn't have a C-section, because then they have never been near a vagina at all. But I might actually follow up on your lead here with Twitch and start my own Twitch channel. I might call it Cold Dude Life and just go around Twitch hating on people.
Do it.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think one other thing we probably should discuss here is that a lot of these guys who want to say, like particularly TradCon guys who want to say how important it is that you know, like the be all end all is to vet your woman. But one of the reasons why they're like this, or one of the reasons that they're very binary in their understanding of this, is because they think that guys like us, like guys who have a notch count of, you know, anything over 10 really, are out there, you know, fiendishly ruining women for them. Like they think that, you know, if they have problems with their wives, or their wives aren't into giving them head, or their wives were, I was abused, you know, I had a, you know, the alpha that's in their past that they're widowed from was such a jerk, and so now she's broken because when he came, and now it's up to him to fix her. But if it hadn't been for those fiendish pickup artists back in her 20s, who, you know, who she had absolutely no choice to have sex with, if it weren't for those guys, if we could just teach those guys to be better men, if we could just teach them, then these women wouldn't be so messed up, and you wouldn't have to vet for it. Vetting would be a whole lot easier if you guys would just, you know, stop spinning plates and play by the fucking rules.
Speaking of dishonest signals,
well, you know, to be honest with you, I've actually stopped telling girls to tell me how much they want it, and to just scream out, "You're ruining me for my future husband," while I'm banging them.
That'll be a new niche, porn.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree on that one.
That's another thing. One of the reasons these guys, all the same guys who are very like be all end all when it comes to vetting, like from the TradCon perspective, it's they are in a position where their girlfriends, you know, they think that they have what I call the savior mentality, the savior schema, right? They think that they're saving the woman from herself, or they're the one who are going to clean her up and dust her off and take care of the hard luck case. And then because they do that, then their woman is going to be that much more appreciative of them.
Yeah, the pathway to anal, save her from herself.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pathway. Well, but like it's a pathway to a. What gets me is like I encounter this quite a bit, particularly with beta guys who are in awakened while married. Their women used to be so wild and so crazy back in their party days, and you know they would have these stories of threesomes, and then the sex that they're having with them right now, they had to jump through hoops to get to. Like they had to have a job, and they had to, and basic stuff, right? They had to have a job. They had to be, good with kids. They had to have all these prerequisites because he's the one for them in long term. But they're happy to give like wild, crazy ass sex that he wants to get to because he thinks he's qualifying for it. They gave that free of charge, free of any kind of rules or anything, to guys in her past who she still pines for. So what do these guys do? Well, they have to turn those guys into villains, saying it's you guys that are screwing these women up. But women are only as bad as men make them. That's the mentality. It's like the women are like, it's called hypo agency, right? Hypo agency is that the thing, whatever it is, in this case a woman, is she's acted upon. She has
wasn't that Picrates' 2017 speech after yours?
yeah, exactly. Well, they think that if you're and anybody can be a pickup artist. If you have a notch count of 3, you're a pickup artist. That's the mentality of this whole thing. Again, binary extremes. So you're a pickup artist, like a guy like imagine this, like you got like Tate who's got his chicks with like his name tattooed on these chicks, right? Yeah. It's like imagine that chick says, "Okay, I'm done with Tate. I'm going to go look for a better life. I've got a religious conversion. Now I'm going to go find a great husband," and she's got Tate's name tattooed on her.
Dude, that's so on the nose. It's not even funny.
Yeah, and I'm just teasing. I'm not picking on Tate. I'm just saying, imagine that every chick that you meet, like if you're a guy who's supposedly playing by the rules, every chick that you meet has some other dude's name tattooed on her. So what are you going to do? The source of her problems is the guys in her past. So what are you going to do? You're going to go and you're going to villainize or vilify the guys who are out there spinning plates, getting the experience that you never had, and getting the sex without the rules that you've had to jump through. So
and the idea of getting a girl to put your name on her tattoo is unheard of. That's the part that boggles my mind. Right. Go be Tate if that's what you want. You want a tattoo? Go earn it like he did.
Yeah.
Well, my thing with the whole thing is just that it's easier to vilify guys because that way you don't have to buy into the fact that your girl chose to get that dick.
Yes.
And it's the same reason why when we did the cheating episode on the show that shall not be mentioned, I said that
the one with 20 live stream viewers.
Yeah, I don't have I have no problem from a moral perspective banging a girl who's in a relationship because that choice is on her. I'm not in a relationship, so she's making that choice to have sex. However, if I know they're in a relationship, I tend not to sleep with them just because I know that if they get caught, they will blame me and their boyfriend will blame me. And I don't want some crazy beta showing up to my doorstep with a baseball bat or a shotgun.
I just tuned in to the other guys. Just want to say they're copying us yet again. They're using StreamYard now. They switched from Zoom.
I want to be mad, but StreamYard is good, so I really hope that they get the extra bonuses. I'm actually trying to keep the free version for a little while longer, so I can keep that little logo on the top yard. It's a wonderful platform.
I'm switching out. I'm gonna get the paid version pretty soon here. I believe in this application. This is a really good solution.
Actually, I'm gonna check if I can pay it and still keep that StreamYard logo up for another couple months. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I told Donovan about it immediately. I mean, it's stupid not to be using something like this. So.
But no, that's perfect. They're already lifting our content. They might as well lift our platform as well. I mean, I don't.
Rollo, I just had to say one thing here because I know you missed the rant earlier, but you keep saying that you're a lesser alpha. I don't buy into that because there's no way a lesser alpha could alpha widow half the fucking manosphere.
dude, you Rollo, it's so funny. Red Pill Judas is fucking up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning tweeting about you like fucking some psychopathic ex-girlfriend you dumped because you pumped and dumped her in the back alley behind a fucking bar after you got done playing a gig on the stage.
Well, like, I mean, here's the joke. I'm Medusa now. Like, as much as he obsessed over his ex, that's what here we are almost 2.5 months later. And it's like, what have I done in those 2.5 months? I've actually put out new content. I've written more stuff. I'm working on my book. I'm actually moving into a new studio.
You bought a new beanie. You grew your hair. You got an awesome Miller Lite streak.
Yeah, it's like, exactly. It's like, what, people, content is king, man. If you can't produce, you can't produce. And it's like, I'm not, and this is not me just glossing myself here. It's like, that's just what as soon as all this bullshit went down, it's like, it's an order of magnitude more for you to discredit the bullshit being talked about you than the guy that's creating the bullshit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously there's a lot of legalities and stuff that are involved in all of this right now. Don't worry though, at some point that I'm going to make a public statement about this once my attorneys say, you know what, go ahead, you're all good. But right now all I'm doing is just producing more stuff. I'm just producing more content, and it's like I'm
outworking them, baby, outworking these fools.
I just went back to work. So
yep.
Yeah, and then
and Carl and I and John will still get drunk occasionally and send out a tweet storm of things against fucking the Sultan of Gandalf supercuts there.
Right.
Sultan of sodomy.
Yeah.
Hey, the thing is, at this point, I'm actually feeling bad about it because it's kind of like dunking on the special needs kid in school. It's just not fair to keep dunking on someone who doesn't know any better.
He's more than happy to go to his side of the classroom. That's all he has to do is walk outside of arm's reach.
And it's just kind of it's like I have a relative who has a habit of saying dumb things, and then I'll dunk on them out of principle. And they always ask, like, why do you keep dunking on me? And it's like, you're making it too easy for me. Yeah. I feel bad about doing it, but you're kind of asking me to. I'm not victim blaming here, but you kind of asked for it.
Damn straight. And that's the thing. It's not just about the dunking. Like, whatever. There's enough people in my life or enough people in the world that we can dunk on all day if that's all we wanted to do. There's like real consequences here. I mean, Rolo, my uncle hung himself. Your brother hung him, or not brother, your brother-in-law, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like every one of us knows at least one or two horror stories that are order of magnitude worse than what we have now. So it's fun in games. Yeah, we're getting drunk. We're talking about banging chicks, whatever. But there's an underlying, more serious point here. And we talked with Smeagol about that the last little bit, where it's essentially guys are floundering out there. They have nothing. The fact that a bunch of former pickup artists had to go study Evo Psych and then start helping boys become men, like that's how far we've fallen. This isn't a brag at all. The fact that we're even here speaks to a huge, huge failure of society on multiple levels. And so you got to take that with at least some amount of humility and take it somewhat seriously. By selling your own projected issues with your divorce 15 years ago onto us, is it our fault? I wouldn't even say irresponsible. I can't think of a word that's more serious, but I'd use it if I could.
Hey, to be honest, Ryan, I do buy that it's my fault. Because I did travel back in time and I banged this chick back in 1989. And I think this may have been an issue. I think she may have been my mother, but I'm not exactly sure. But Doc told me it would be cool. So,
damn it, Marty, we gotta go. Bruno's mother's at the bar. You know what I feel bad too, Rolo? Because you're about as close as the sphere has to an academic, and we're sitting here getting drunk off was it soju and gin?
Awamori, the local Okinawan whiskey, or not whiskey, spirits.
But that's nice. By the way, I have to try that.
The way I see the dynamic of this show being is when it's the four of us. You have you, Ryan, and you're kind of like the normal dude. You have Rolo, who's the academic, who does very informative but somewhat dry monologues when he's not pissed off at the king of hot takes.
So that's what everybody waits for.
And then you have John, who's always up to something funny, and then you have me as the comic relief, just to make sure that guys laugh once in a while so that they stick with the show.
Well, I was going to say it's more of an A-team reference with that chain. We got our Hannibal, BA, Murdoch, Hannibal, and then I get to be Face,
Ryan,
I guess.
You do realize that these things on the screen, they switch around, so you just pointed at the wall. I'm not sure why the wall is BA here.
So I need to be pointing. Oh, so I point it like it's a screen, so that's pointing to you.
No, that's pointing away from me.
Yeah, this is towards you. It's hard.
Yeah.
No, Carl, Ryan was right.
The point is, I love this Brady Bunch format we got going on. All we need is the maid in the middle here. But vetting is vitally important. If you're a real man, you need to vet a girl. Like if she doesn't go to your church on steroids, then what are you doing with your life, man?
Yeah, like if she actually, the only sex you should be having with your girl is probably anal without lube, because that way no one's enjoying it.
Actually, hey, Rolo, you might be able to remember this one. This would have been, I think, back in your So Suave days. It was an argument with Roosh, and I can't remember if it was you or not, where they started asking, like, is sex outside of procreation, masturbation, or something like that? Does this ring a bell at all?
That's interesting because that's kind of like the same. You get that from the really extreme moralists.
Yeah, I said Roosh.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's interesting how that's progressed because I can remember a time when Roosh would have told these guys to go pound salt, but now it's like the byline that I'm getting is that any sex that's not for procreation is a drug addiction. Right. So if you're jerking off, if you're having sex that's not meant to produce a baby, then it's because you have this addiction to the dopamine.
To serotonin or dopamine, yeah,
whatever it is, the endorphins that you get from orgasm, right? So you keep coming back to that, and then because of that, you end up becoming a slave to either pornography or your wife or whatever. So basically, the idea is to just simply give up on sex and redirect that sexual energy to something else. I guess studying the Word of God or something like that.
Isn't that weird how our biology is good or bad?
I have an issue on two levels with that. Number one, if you think sex is a drug addiction, you're obviously a needle dick. But secondly, I like to take my all my excess sexual energy and transform that into trying to bang more girls.
Mm-hmm. I still like that. Yeah, biology was great. Came to talk phrenology and the racial differences on these same kind of guys, but all of a sudden down to sex, and now it's bad.
Well, let me just say that if you're one of those guys who's like, oh, the Christian church has gotten too feminized. I wish I could go back and be like back when the church was really good and had strict morals and so on. That's fine. You can move to Saudi Arabia and follow Wahhabism. Same church, different practice.
Oh, dude, that's so honest. Do you remember that? There was a thing, I think we talked about it in the last show, where these guys were like, I don't let my wife drive. I drive her everywhere. A real man doesn't make her drive you around. And I was like, that sounds just like Sharia law.
To be honest with you, my great grandfather almost died because of that, because he had a heart attack, and this was back before they had cars. So he couldn't get the horse out in the wagon, so he was walking down to the doctor's office, clutching his heart because there was no way anyone was going to see him in a wagon driven by a woman.
Yeah.
Jeez,
my man, sounds like my kind of guy.
And that's just it. You like, why guys are, I don't want to say ashamed, but averse to adapting the good parts of that masculinity. Yeah, he got there because he had to work on a farm since he was 16 years old, or they had to go to Korea and start dunking on North Koreans during the war. And yeah, we don't have that now.
Go to Japan and cook rice.
Yeah, fair enough. Cook rice. Very flamethrowery joke. But there's so many parts of that. Like, take away the parts that was like the crippling alcoholism, the beating your wife when she got out of line stuff. Take that stuff out of it. There's a lot of gems you can adapt that are nice. And for all these guys that, as Rollo puts it, they're looking for a time machine. They seem to go back and they never take the parts that were useful or good. They always seem to take the part that was a Norman Rockwell painting, an advertisement for Camel cigarettes, where he just sat there with a pipe and a drink. They forgot about the rest of it. The part where he told his wife to shut up when she was nagging him too much and he just wanted to unwind after work.
Dude, you're not a real man unless you smoke 60 Camel non-filters a day to boost your testosterone.
Yeah. Oh, that was the worst thing ever out of the manosphere, that smoke your way to masculinity crap.
Well, the thing is, I'm not sure if we were supposed to talk about this on betting, but like that Michael Portfolio account, I'm not sure I'm not sure how much of that is real and how much of that is kind of a parody. It's like the Memosphere bot.
Or the Money Online bot. He's a good one.
Yeah, the Make Money Online bot.
So you're saying, John?
I was just going to say, anybody who believes in a non-account that doesn't actually put his voice out there and actually put out something. If you're just believing an account that is anonymous on Twitter, and that's like you're basing some life decisions off of that, you're an absolute fucking idiot. And any bad stuff that happens to you from taking that advice is 100% warranted.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thank
no,
you,
he
John.
put on caveats that you fit the thing.
Yeah, I know he did, but
I put a caveat in there for you, Carl.
but it's my thing with this is very simple. I've seen more face accounts put more bullshit out in the manosphere in the last 6 months than 12 years of add-on accounts.
He does have a point there.
He does. No, I mean,
And
hey,
if your only qualifier is
anonymous.
I put my face out there, then obviously I go for the quality of content. So for me, it's not really like, I don't care if the guy, like with Black Dragon, like the guy obviously doesn't have the right look, but I still think he has a lot of good ideas in his content. Do I agree with everything? No, but I don't agree with I haven't fully drunk the Rolo Kool-Aid either.
Well, that's the point I love about Rolo. You don't mind if I'm going to fluff you for a second here, Rolo, do you?
You fluff everyone. You're a slut.
Yeah, but I only fluff it when they deserve a good fluffing. So Rolo's had this. I used to be a rock star. And the impression is that he's like a, what do you call it, lower alpha or whatever that one was?
Lesser alpha. You know, people keep giving me grief about that, and it's like, where did you get that from? And I'm like, that's like old school, man. That's like from that's from Heartiste back when it was Royce in 2009.
Yeah, the fact that they don't know what that's from told me that they haven't read fuck all yet. But here was the point of it, and that's the thing. Everybody's looking at him now like, look at this guy. He doesn't look like the roided out alpha that we expect an alpha to look like. I'm like, dude, he's 50 and natty. How big and swole do you expect him to be? And you've shown me photos of you in your 20s when you were rocking out. I'm like, yeah,
dude,
no.
Yeah, I listen, Rolo. I would tell you if you looked like a fucking dork back in the day, but dude, you were fucking Chad Prime, man. You were looking yoked as fuck with your sleeveless shirts. I know exactly the kind of girls who are throwing panties on stage at you. Yeah. So no, man, it is what it look. And that's the thing, guys.
And to look at that at 50 is no small feat either,
dude.
But that's not that it matters.
Like you put out a photo of you on your Instagram the other day on the front of that moving truck. You look good, dude. Who the fuck is gonna look that good? Everybody's like, oh, he doesn't look jacked or shit. How good are you gonna look at 50? Look at fucking Pizza Crates. This guy is younger than you, and this guy's like pushing 300 pounds, and he's like 4 years away from a heart attack. Like,
oh, dude, he's like Colonel Sanders if he ate all the chicken.
It's like it's ridiculous it's basically mindless criticism coming from the internet, which is the internet. But going back to what Carl said, about the anon accounts, the reality is this: when it comes to vetting, and it comes to people teaching you about vetting, you have to realize that, numerically speaking, on a statistical basis, the majority of guys are beta. That being said, the majority of these dating coaches out there are also beta masquerading as alpha.
I wouldn't even be so generous. I would say delta.
Well, even that, right?
We could even go a little bit further.
Hold on. I'm
okay, basically trash.
the creme de la creme dudes. You have to remember. I'll tell you, this is a guy who's come from real life experience. The creme de la creme dudes. They're not posting on TRP. They're not writing blogs. They don't have a fucking website. You know what they're doing? They're fucking tons and tons and tons of pussy. Because if it came down to me having a boatload of vagina banging down my door or doing my live stream show, I'd have a little bit of trouble. I'd have a little bit of trouble doing it there.
Well, here's the thing that's actually kind of nice. It's something for you. And this is, I hate to do the guy that, there's an exception to the rule, but here's the thing. Ultimate Cad, I talk about him all the time. If you guys don't know who he is, he was a married guy who did the let me see your phone thing, basically caught his wife in a lie, and he knew right then. He's like, I've been beta for way too long. I got to sort this out. Demoted his wife to plate, fucks the neighborhood, lives unapologetically. And he's the rare exception to this, and it's the one thing you got to look for. For him, it's like, I can't brag anywhere else but here about me stepping out of my marriage and sleeping with 50 girls in this year. I can't talk about this with my friends. I can't talk about it with my social circle. So I think that's the thing you got to look for, is the guy who's like, this is the only place where I can honestly be this playboy asshole and talk about this stuff honestly. But you'll see like a raw honesty about it. That's what I mean. Like when he's talking about it, he's not just bragging about how he's slaying left and right. He's talking about the difficulties and how I have to maintain plausible deniability with my wife who cheated on me and now I don't care about. and manage to stay in my children's lives until they turn 18 so she doesn't screw them up, but at the same time still be my masculine center of origin. And it's this nice complex depth of character that I find separates him from those online playbongs that brag about, Ferrari, six figures, and girls.
Well,
but you are right. The majority of those guys don't need to hide that honesty.
Yeah, and there's a question in the chat too from Devaster1. He says, "Good morning, fellas. Answer me this: 19, 20-year-old beautiful women seem to be more attracted to me versus women my age. I do look like I'm in my mid-30s when really I'm 46. Clothes or not clothes?
Are you
Deal
stupid?
With younger girls. Yeah, fuck her, dude. Do it. What the hell?
Why
is
is he
wrong with you?
asking for permission? That's a humble brag asking for permission. Hey, guys, young chicks
Do it.
really want I do it. Would you really
Do
not do it if he said no? Like, really? Come on.
I don't know. I'm just going to get back to something John was talking about there for a second, because we've spent a lot of time in this space talking about vetting and red flags for women. And one of my rant conclusions was vet your fucking advisors. And, there are certain red flags you can look for. And, I have a couple of them, given that I'm anon, I don't put my life out there at all. But, like, if your advisor is constantly talking about woo-woo spirituality and new age shit, that's usually a sign that he's full of shit. If your advisor calls a girl his BFF, that's a reason to think he's full of shit. It's not that complicated. If your advisor talks like something out of Mean Girls swallowed a David Data book, he's probably full of shit. It's not that hard. It's plausible deniability here, guys. It's something that you learn in corporate very well. You can do whatever you want as long as you have plausible deniability.
Mm-hmm. Hope you guys don't mind. I was fiddling with the things there to get that shot that we were talking about before.
So what you have to deal with when it comes to that, it's a lot of the time when Rollo puts something out there, Ryan, John, me, it's usually, especially me and Rollo, I would say more than the other two, you'll have a study or some statistics or something that leads you in a certain direction, and then you extrapolate that to an endpoint. So you have Briffault's law, for instance, that there will be no relationships if a female did not derive any value from it. Now, from that, you can extrapolate that, okay, what types of value can a woman get out of a relationship? Well, there is provision, there is procreation, and there is ego, for lack of a better word, validation, as Rollo likes to put it. And you can come up with other forms of value a woman can derive. That doesn't invalidate the law. It's just extrapolations. And then over time, you just test that assertion or that conclusion against reality. And if that passes enough tests, then it becomes a valid part of our shared theoretical framework. And I realize I should probably be taking a shot at Ryan's shirt right now because I'm into a 2-minute rant on research. But for the most part, what happens is, if something isn't right and it doesn't work, then it doesn't become part of our vernacular. So Rollo gets shit for banging on about hypergamy. Ryan gets shit for banging on about dread. John gets shit for generally everything.
Everything.
Moving to Japan because I'm a fucking gameless loser.
Oh, that's the hiding from the real world by doing something.
I ran from the fat women. Oh my God, I'm a criminal.
Yeah, so anyway, everyone gets shit, but what you have to look at is how effective is the content at getting you what you want. That's how you find a good trainer, too. It's like, okay, if all his clients are fat people and they keep being fat people after he's coached them for 6 months and they haven't lost weight, he's probably not a very good trainer. Or at least he can't get his clients to actually implement what he says. And that's how we used to be in this space, and that used to be our gatekeeper. How well does this work when people test it in the field? And I think that should be our gold standard going forward as well as a group. How well does this map onto reality, and what effect does it have on my life when I implement this?
There's another question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
No, but you can masturbate to your Bible and say your prayers all day, but if it's not bringing any form of positive benefit to your life, why are you thumping that Bible?
Because you get off on it.
Yeah, I know that, Ryan, but I'm just saying that if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you can't expect to get a different results. It's the blue pill alpha thing where they end up with 6 divorces because like they keep cheating on every woman they ever marry, but they still don't get that they lose a ton of money every time they divorce. It's like the show Titus, his dad, he's like this real old school masculine guy, heavy drinker, heavy smoker, and like 19 divorces because he can't stay faithful to one girl.
Dude, you know the worst part about that? Like you take I'll just use AJ as an example here. Hypothetical, I'm not talking about him at all. But he's so pretty though. So everything he's saying has to be true because of the halo effect. Meanwhile, my stepdad was a lot like the guys like, well, not AJ, but my stepdad was like that. 4 divorces, very dreamy, awesome attitude, super aloof. But that's the problem is that he had those same blue pill mentalities that anytime trouble would happen, the only game he had was Chad game to be aloof. But when you're married with 3 kids, you can't be aloof. Aloof guys get divorced and estranged and have to pay alimony payments.
You just call him dreamy, Ryan?
Yeah, very. Oh, dude, have you seen his eyes? He is dreamy. But that's the thing.
Show me,
very
Ryan,
deceptive.
Show me on this doll where he touched you.
But here's the point, though.
Like I get what Ryan's saying because like I have a brother who's always been like the natural alpha dude.
Yeah,
big into sports, tall, blue eyes. The whole. I'm not going to describe him in detail. Always kind of been into style. Always been in shape, and he's never had a negative experience. The worst experience he had with a woman was when his junior high school sweetheart dumped him. And after that, he banged a few chicks, just kind of falling into vagina, but he's never really looked past that, and he's still very much blue-pilled when it comes to relationships.
Yeah.
So,
well, even that was Corey.
Yeah, so he's going to be one of those guys, and I hope to God that his relationships keep working out. But, I mean, he's one of those guys who could end up in that risk where, he's so blue-pilled, and yet he's attractive enough and alpha enough that he gets away with a lot of bullshit. The type of guy, the kind of guy who's blue-pilled, but he's been married and has, like, couple of divorces under his belt, this kind of being beta bucks to a couple of chicks via alimony and child support, but still wants to bang on online about, being non-monogamous. It's like, never take advice from alphas. Like, if you want to learn how to lose weight and get in shape, don't get advice from a coach who's been in shape his whole life. Get advice from that fat guy who lost all that weight. Yeah, if you want to get tips on how to go from not banging chicks at all to slaying, don't get advice from the guy who's naturally slaying pussy. Get advice from the guy who went from not getting laid at all for years and then suddenly started banging 40 chicks a year.
Somebody have a landline? What the hell is that? Hold on a sec. Let me grab the cordless phone from the 90s before the answering machine picks it up. Sorry,
Ryan, I was just going to say we got a question in the chat from Julius Novachrono, and he says, had marital troubles, discovered the red pill, ran game on wife since February, improvements made, return of enthusiastic sex, but can't tell if it's genuine desire or she wants another baby.
Oh, dude, that's a good question. Bring up casually about getting snipped, see what the reaction is. So another baby means you already have one.
And I would say just common sense. Well, dude, listen, if you started running game from February, you discovered the red pill, and improvements are being made, then all signs point to game is working. I don't think you need to second guess yourself. I think you need to take a logical approach and look at what you did.
Yeah.
Am I wrong here, Rolo? What do you think?
Well, I think it
Yeah, I'm with him. I've seen it go both ways, so you kind of want.
I can read it again, Rolo. I can read it again if you want me to.
No. It's okay. I'm just gonna say is like understand why are you asking this? Because there is this doubt that she is still into you, right? Sorry, I'm leaning over out of the mic here. But you have some sort of doubt that like you're doubting the genuineness of her desire for you. So if you are thinking that, what is I think the answer to this is, what is your instinct telling you? What is your gut telling you? Is your gut telling you she's doing this because she wants to have a baby? Is it another baby? Did he say he already had a kid, or is that this
sounded like you said there was at least one other?
Okay, I'm sorry. Give me the question one more time. Like what are the details?
Okay, let me read one more time. So the question is, just for the exact details, the question is from Julius Nova Chrono, and he says, had marital troubles. I discovered the red pill. I ran game on my wife since February. We're now in August. Improvements have been made. Return of enthusiastic sex, but can't tell if it's genuine desire or she wants another baby.
Okay, another baby. So this indicates to me that either she's a single mother and that he got hooked up with her, or else they have a child that's prior to this. So that one of those two situations exists in this position. The other thing is that if it's the other way around, if it's the fact that they already have a child and then sex kind of declined after that, usually that's because a woman got what she wanted, and what she wanted was kids. She wanted to have that child. And so now that she's got what she's wanted, she doesn't have to go and she doesn't have to make an effort anymore to keep the relationship going. Women lose that. This is a disincentive of our modern marriage like machine right now. Is that once a woman gets what she wants, once she's got she has the
flaws in place.
Well, and people, when they talk about how women get postpartum depression, that's because they don't want to be separated from that. I mean, there's a reason for that, because they want, if evolutionarily speaking, we want women who are invested in nurturing their own kids. It helps, survival rates of the next generation. It makes sense, right? So it makes sense that there are hormonal and there are chemical changes that happen in a woman that affect her brain, affect her mood, everything else about that kid. So she wants to have that child. So once she's got that, she's not thinking about having sex with you and maintaining the relationship. She's all focused on that one kid because her body has put her into that position. And maybe she's always been about that. When women talk about their biological clock, there's no such thing as a biological clock. There is a fertility window, and there are prime fertility windows, but there's no such thing as a biological clock. So it's
wrong furniture. I like it.
Let's just clarify that right now. It was, well, what do you mean there's no biological clock? Well, the biological clock is when women go, oh, I'm 29. I better have kids before I can't find another man. I'm aging out of the sexual marketplace, so I got to find. That's the biological clock. When a woman decides that she can no longer compete at the same level she did when she was 22 years old, oh my gosh, the biological clock is ticking. No, it's not. It's because you are aging out of the sexual marketplace. But there are chemical, realities to women, having children. So what I'm thinking happened here is she probably already had the kid. Sex fell off. He initiated game, and now here we are in August. And he doesn't know whether she wants to have another kid or if she's really into it. If your instinct is to ask these guys on a podcast whether or not, what do we think, with that limited information, it's probable that your instinct is telling you she wants to have another kid. So what happens after that is the sex drops off that much more, because now you've basically doubled her investment into that kid and remove you from the equation. And the way we have set up, at least in Western society, the way we have it set up right now is she's incentivized to do that. She's incentivized to have another kid because that's that much more that security, financial security that you're applying to her.
So let's say now that Rollo has explained this to you, let me give you some practical advice here. Tell her you're thinking about having a vasectomy. See how she reacts.
It's exactly the same as when John said, "Let me see your phone." It's that same situation, and how she reacts will tell you all you need to know. The other thing on this too is your mindset. You need to think you're king shit if you're getting what you want. The reason why this is important, and this is going to be tangential to yours, but what a lot of guys do is they start running game and it starts working. But then once it works, the guys stop doing it because they believe it was just a means to an end. And they get they sabotage themselves. So you got to assume this is working. At the same time, You got to hedge your bets, exactly like Carl and John and Rollo were saying. Mention that casually. Don't be judgmental. And this is the key. When Carl said, talk about the vasectomy and bring it up, the two things you want to avoid are assigning blame to her for any reason and assigning judgment to her for any reason. The easiest way to get a girl to clam up and start giving you dishonest signals is to put the idea of blame out there, because they will avoid that like the plague. Make it very casual. If you have to, and this is a really good one, get drunk together. You guys are a loving couple. You guys are having great sex. Why wouldn't you have a nice drunken night out? If you want to get honest with a woman, get drunk with her. And it's a little bit disingenuous, but you know what? You're going to have fun anyway. Just make sure yours a little bit less. And this will answer your stuff. And you'll know. Trust your instincts, like Rollo said. Trust your instincts, because as you start talking about these things, being honest and open, well, her side honest and open, you're just fishing for information. As you do this, if you can do it non-judgmentally, they'll be honest. It's the same as, it was either Rollo or John was talking about it before. When you're honest with these girls, they'll be more honest with you about their sexual past. It's always like that. They always trust a man that they can feel safe around. And by safe, I mean non-judgmental.
He just shot a follow-up. He said, thanks for the advice, guys. Also coincided with ramping up passive dread. Hard to tell due to the circumstances, which is where the doubt came from. Appreciate it.
I think you heard what. All right, whatever.
I think he heard what he needed to hear. I think it's good stuff overall. We had another one. He got a super chat here. It says from Sam Whiskey. I'd like to give my dirtbag opinion on this one. He says, since women have abortions without telling you, do you have to tell them about your vasectomy? Absolutely not.
No, your body, your choice.
Fill her up with load after load after load, and it's blame it on her barren womb. Like, that's what I would do.
Jesus. I would, if it's going to be a relationship, I might be a little honest before you walk down that aisle if you want to get married, and I don't know why you would. And she got married specifically because she wants a family. I would say yes, if for no other reason, then it will end very badly when the baby doesn't come for 2 years, and then you guys get all these medical tests done. And the doctor will tell her that you're shooting blanks and that it's self-inflicted. For some reason, they aren't actually obliged to tell you that the girl is cheating, but they have no problems telling the girl if you got a vasectomy and didn't tell them. It's this weird thing with the Hippocratic oath that always respects the women. I don't know how to describe it. And I can get into that later. It was this wonderful National Post piece. I really should link it. Remind me to tweet about that after, if I can lay off a Bruno and his hot takes for 10 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you, by the way, too, John, because I have to sit back a little further from the screen. And the sixth gin in, it's getting a little harder to read these things here. I'm going to have to start wearing my nerd glasses to these casts.
Good. All right. I had to switch AirPods. Sorry, I missed that a little bit there, but we're good.
I was just fluffing you for reading these things because I can't read them from this distance at this level of blood alcohol content.
I can understand why you get smashed every morning doing these. It's kind of fun.
Every morning. It's once a week. Honestly, the only time I drink is Saturday mornings now. So it's like this weird compartmentalized alcoholism.
Well, it's 2 a.m. and I'm fucking stormed in by a goddamn hurricane. This is the second year in a row that I came to Okinawa and a hurricane hit. So,
and God, dude, off topic, as like whatever. A lot of people say you're shill, you're fake, whatever. I have never seen somebody in the manosphere pull the kind of hours that you pull. Like, I got a work ethic. Yeah, and dude, even if John's stuff was only 50% effective, he puts in twice the amount of hours, so that balances out in the end. Like your body language mastery course, you were doing 2 webinars a day at like 6 in the morning and 6 at night or something like that, whatever your time was.
It's after the show, typically around 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which translates into like 7:30 a.m. for the guys out in Cali, and then 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at night. And we do it for 3 weeks, and it's 2 hours in the morning. I do a 2-hour show, and then 2 hours at night.
And we've all been there. We've all been very impressed with it. Like, I can tell you used to be a teacher because you put together a good teaching plan. But the thing that I think separates this, and I'm probably going to steal your idea if I do my own online course eventually, but you actually go through it with them. You essentially act like a teacher, and you make sure that I'm teaching you this, but you're going to learn it. And I think that was the most fun part about going in there and seeing it. And I don't know, Rollo, did you like it as well, or were you kind of?
I can tell. I can tell it's very well organized, and I can tell that you are just like you were saying. I can tell that you had some sort of teaching background. It's interesting to me because I used to teach actually myself back in the '90s.
Really?
Yeah, I used to teach graphic design and desktop publishing and stuff at a community college for about 2.5, maybe 3 years. It was a fun job while it lasted. I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of feel like when I go up and I do any kind of public speaking, I kind of lean into teacher mode.
Yeah.
When you're in front of people, when you're in front of a classroom every day, and you're only talking about maybe 30 people in a class. You get used to certain things. I feel like I was out of practice when I first started getting into public speaking again, but you have to have a plan, right? You have to have something from it. It seems like that's what you have.
You guys want to hear something funny?
Here, when you were teaching students, did you betray that school too?
Yeah, they all came after me. Yeah, you're right. I'm a traitor.
Do you guys want to hear something hilarious? By the way, when I was teaching at Fleet School, I had a nervous tick. Like everybody has a nervous tick, and part of the way they train you is how to deal with it. A lot of people say you hold a pen in your hand, so all your hand fidgets, you're essentially just holding the pen so it looks more natural. My first day of class, and here's the funny part. My first day of class, I didn't have a pen, but what I saw in the class was this wooden mallet. So for the longest time, when I was teaching at Fleet School, I had a wooden mallet, and I used to point it at the students. And because I throw like a girl, if they fell asleep, I couldn't throw an eraser at them or anything, so I had to slam the thing on their desk. The students thought it was so funny, they drew like a Captain America shield on the front end of the mallet. And now as I see certain people in the manosphere swinging hammers around, talking about cupcakes, it reminds me of when I was a brand new green teacher who didn't know what he was doing.
The whole thing about cupcakes is you don't have to eat every single one of them.
Hey, we don't do things half-assed here. We're going to eat all the food. We're going to eat all the food. We're going to dox all the locations. We're going to make sure we man up all the men for all the hoes. Don't half-ass your life. That's red pill for you.
Save the West, make women great again, all those delusional fucking statements.
And the worst thing is, don't get me started on the save the West shit. I've done rants on this before, so pardon to the audience if I repeat myself, but what West are you saving? The 1940s? Because I'm pretty sure there was some shit going on there that we don't want to see happen again.
Yeah, I'll put it this way.
I'm not particularly partial to, a Cold War between the Soviet Union and the United States. Not a huge fan of that thing that went down in Vietnam. I heard there was a bit of a forest fire down there.
What about the Balkans? That was cozy.
Yeah, that was fun. That was cozy. The siege of Sarajevo was great, right? And then, you had those good Victorian Puritan times where the biggest problem was syphilis. And then you go back a couple of hundred years more than that, and you had Rubens painting fat chicks. That might be what the West they want to save. I mean, I hear chasing fat chicks, and especially single moms, is a big deal. And,
the French Revolution and Napoleon.
Yeah, we could go back to the French Revolution. The issue there is people who were Bible thumping got guillotined because even the French realized that having a bunch of sacrilegious guys talking about Jesus is annoying. And, if we can go back, even if we go back all the way to Jesus, I mean, if these, like I said on the other show, if the Dragons are half as annoying as Jesus, I'm surprised it took the Romans 33 years to kill him.
I'll put it this way, too. The Save the West and fighting feminism, this mission accomplished crap, show me what a win state looks like, and then maybe I'll take it seriously.
Yeah,
I think every man should take it upon himself to define his terms. So if you really want to save the West from feminism, show me what that looks like and show me a pathway to get there, because repeal the 19th while you're fucking a sex doll on Instagram is not the way to get there.
Well, to be honest with you, there's only one man who ever saved the West from an invasion by outsiders. He was called Vlad Dracula. He lived in Romania, and he fought the Ottoman Empire. Unless you're planning on starting impaling people, you're not fighting an outside invader.
And if you can't lift or bang a chick, I guarantee you're not going to be impaling anything. You can't even impale the girl.
It's the saddest state of affairs ever. We have a bunch of fat dudes in a basement with a green screen bar fighting a bunch of fat chicks in another basement with green screen hair. I mean, this isn't exactly the rebels versus the Empire. I'm not even sure what the hell to call this shit.
It's literal LARPing. It's guys like Cardboard Wars putting on cardboard and duct taped armor and beating the crap out of each other in a field, yelling magic missile. Rollo, I hate to say this, but like I've been a professional for like decades, and John, you've got a good damn work ethic, and you've been teaching a while. Like we're all normal professional people. Does it not strike you as somewhat embarrassing as that this is what we're having the war of ideas over?
Which with the Redmansburgs?
With the saving the entire thing. They're a symptom. They're not the main thing. I wish I could say they were the Kings of Spurg, but they're not.
Time out. Listen. Look at the analytics. Look at the fucking tweet storms.
I'd love to, but they privatized their channels, so you can't see them anymore.
Right click, open incognito window. You can see it all in Google Chrome. Watch them losing their minds behind the scenes. Watch them spew literal hate-filled vitriol to Rollo, hate-filled vitriol to Carl, hate-filled vitriol to me, which is the most. I'm the most open guy.
Dude, and you get it privately too. That's
anybody.
The weirdest part. That means they believe it. At least with this stuff, I think it's private, it's public, so I assume it's marketing. With you, it's true.
So, the end of the day, look at the peak of the Redman Group in Q4 of 2018. We were crushing 700, 800, 900 live stream viewers. We were doing it while old Anthony was just sitting there like a little moderator. He's like the stenographer in the fucking courtroom, just sitting there like documenting shit. Okay? We were hitting home runs after home runs. We had the fucking all-star team. Us four, plus Donovan, running the phone lines like a fucking trooper. And then to top it all off, you had Steve the Dean in there and the occasional guest that we brought in. We were absolutely murdering it. This is what happened. Red Pill Judas, he's like 5'4". He's got the short man complex, right? And he's got the short man's complex. He saw that we were coming in and we were delivering high quality value, man. That was some high quality stuff. And he got his panties all knotted up in a bunch. He wasn't all happy about it. And he decided to do the nuclear option to go turn the entire event into some MAGA conservative bro event with Mike Cernovich and Stefan Molyneux.
Do you know the funny thing? Actually, I'll wait till you're done.
Thank you. That being said, he has played his cards and he has showed you who he is. Channel analytics are down. 21 Studio subscriptions are down. His credibility, you know why he has 3 likes on every one of his Twitters?
Because he has 2 alt accounts.
It's from the 21 Studios account and it's from the Redman Studios account and from his personal account. The guy is sinking the ship. He is self-destructing. Everything is falling apart and he is panicking because he made a bad decision, because he's probably missing a chromosome because he's inbred. But other than that,
Jesus,
us on this side of the sphere, let's take a quick breakdown of what we're doing.
Well,
Carl has his website, 100,000 clicks and views per month.
And 2 books.
Ryan has his private coaching sessions. He has his one-on-one coaching sessions, and he is constantly putting out high quality, very high production quality YouTube videos that are consisting of coffee, food, etc., etc.
And a book that's going to be out before Rollo's. I think I can guarantee that now.
Probably.
Plus a great shirt collection. I mean, he puts a lot of work into his shirts.
Yeah.
And then we got Rollo here, who, do I need to say anything more? Rollo is fucking Rollo. So he's put out all the shit. He's out here. He's still producing content. And listen, the numbers don't lie. The audience has chosen. We are the ones. Right now, it's a situation where we are in the position to continue to build ourselves up as they continue to lose followers one by one, and then they come over here.
Do you know the funny thing on that too? And this is going to be a fluffing on Rollo and the rest of you guys. So if you guys don't know, I was fully anon. I was basically a Carl until Rollo invited me saying, hey, I got this convention I'm running. Would you like to come speak? That was the extent of my due diligence was Rollo asked. I'm like, good enough. So I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Now, it's not to say, if he goes crazy, I'll be still cool with it because he's not. But where was I going to go with this one? Well, no, here's the thing. And this is the part that hurts the most. That idea of a convention, bringing guys to it, a lot of media exposure, I thought it was great. Had he done nothing, I wasn't earning any money at 21Con. In fact, it cost me money to go there. I'm pretty sure Rollo's the same way. We would have dragged him to success, kicking and streaming, if he would have just done fucking nothing. I don't care about the war on feminism. I don't care about hypogamy or whatever fucking KFC man was talking about. There was a lot of messages there I didn't agree with, but you know what? At the end of the day, I just believe that everybody wanted men to be better. And even if I didn't agree with the means, I agreed with the goal. And I was perfectly happy to work my ass off to sacrifice in order to get everybody there together. That rising tide lifts all boats things. And the only thing that makes this sad is that because of egos, people actually got in the way of that. Because say what you will about all of us four. We disagree on things. We agree on things, whatever. We have our faults. We're good people, whatever. We all at least agree as a society, if we have more good men than we do like shitty men that are successful versus men failing, I think we can consider it a win. Regardless on if you get there by arguing with thoughts on a Twitch stream, whether you want to write 4 books on an academic level on hypergamy and religion, whether you want to get drunk and talk about sexual dynamics as economics or whatever. And I think, at least from a creator standpoint, now I know we got some creators in the chat there, so this is more for you guys as opposed to like the general audience, but as long as you keep that in mind, I think everything will go well in the end. I don't know what kind of stupid message that is. I think I should stop here.
No, I agree with you, Ryan. I think the most important thing is to just keep producing content and producing value. Yes. And if anything has been shown by this podcast today is that, and rule 0, it's that we keep going. We've been consistent with Red Morning throughout. There was a couple of rants there that got a little bit vitriolic, but I'll say anything. And I think if you prove anything by fluffing us here today, it's that you should really stop by the time you hit your 4th gin because you're starting to get kind of ranty. I mean, you're a bit of a lightweight. We're going to have to work on your alcohol tolerance there.
That's the thing. It gets to here, and it'll be here until the next 12 are in. I got that secondary gate. But anyway, subscribe to my Patreon. My wife just put a Post-it note on there. It's Patreon/join/_Ryan_Stone. But are we good on time? Oh, we're reaching the 2-hour mark, so I don't know if we want to go longer. But Rollo, vetting, final thoughts, closing thoughts. Give us some wisdom.
First of all, vetting is important. Okay, let's just not, let's not just beat around the bush here. But it's not. I mean, take it with a grain of salt. Understand it objectively. That it's not the panacea that a lot of these guys want you to think that it is. It's not like a lot of these guys will reverse engineer their decisions. They'll reverse engineer what's happened. They like to go back and rewrite history. Like, well, I really picked a great girl, but we're talking to a guy who's been divorced for 10 or 15 years, and he wants to tell you how important it is to vet women, or he wants to give you advice on how to treat women right or whatever, or how to live a better life. I mean, just look at the fruits, right? Look at what they've produced. Look where they are in their lives. Look what they're fruits. People's circumstances, aren't 100% their fault. But let's just look at the products that these guys, their lives represent. And so it's like, you're going to tell me, it's important to vet. Okay, yeah, it's important to vet, but don't go and say that it's like the be all end all of of dealing with women. And again, women is the thing that gets me with these guys is it's like they think that it's just like, oh yeah, you just got to vet and everything will be fine. And you shouldn't be thinking about women all that much anyways. And you should just go on and get the work done and do whatever. That comes back to sort of the MGTOW thing. It's like, if you could take a magic pill, I'll leave you with a question. If you could take a magic pill, that pill would say, okay, you would never placate to a woman anymore. You don't have to worry about your libido anymore. You would remove all of that. What would you do if women weren't an issue for you? What would you do with your life? All right. And a lot of guys don't understand that you need that libido. You need that energy. You need that drive that pushes you on to other things. That's what is it? Was it Freud always said that all energy is sexual. So it's like the fact that you don't have a woman in your life means you're going to go and build a skyscraper, because that will get you status and put you up in the dominance hierarchy. And maybe some chick goes, "Well, you built a skyscraper? Yeah, okay, I'll have your babies." That kind of thing. It's like, it's this channeling. If you're not a natural dude who's going to be naturally, picking up, if you're not the natural alpha that women want, you've got to figure out how to compensate for that, how to do that. And in doing that, you gain experience. You gain experience with women. And vetting is only important if you have the experience to understand what it is you should be looking for. So if a guy is telling you it's important to vet, look at if has the guy been married to one woman his entire life since he was 19 years old? He's not the guy that you want to ask about how important vetting is. It's the guy who's had, multiple relationships with multiple women, who understands the nature of women. That's the guy who's going to be able to tell you. Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes he lives a pretty fucked up life, but at least he's going to be able to give you some real world experience as to what it is that you should be looking for. But again, that doesn't mean that woman is going to stay that same person. This is where I always get. It's like guys will always, like, one of the reasons like I kind of chafe when it comes to these guys talking about Myers-Briggs and shit like that. It's this idea that personality stays the same, that personality is static. And if you've ever taken any classes in psychology, you know that that's bullshit. People's personalities changes over time. Either the person who I was 2 years ago, back in 2017, is not the person that I am today. Why? Because my personality and who I am has been molded by the experiences that I've had since that time. Okay. Whether that's microscopic or that's macroscopic, it's, that's neither here nor there. But the fact of the matter is you are a different person. Yeah. Are you going to carry your talents and your basic traits and stuff? Yeah, you're going to carry that over. But guys need to understand that personality is not static, and your personality is not, and women's personality is not. So a woman who shows all these great signs, like, oh, I vetted her and she seemed like she'd be a great mother for my children, and she wore this sun hat and she goes to church, and she wants to have crazy monkey sex with me right now. That's the same chick. That's why I always talk about like the myth of the quality woman. That's the same chick who you're gonna go, I don't believe that bitch. That bitch turned on me, or that girl is not who she said she was. That's why people give me this grief about like, well, Rollo says there's no such thing as a quality woman. No, there's no such thing as a quality woman, because you're dealing with an idealization. You have this idea in your head what that perfect woman is going to be. And if that's what you're vetting for, if that's, like some guys carry it all the way to the end. They say, well, I don't want to have a relationship with any woman unless she's a virgin. Like you get these guys all the time. They're the same dudes that are like you shouldn't have sex, and any sex that's not for procreation is a drug addiction. These are the guys who are looking for that perfect little virgin bride that they think is out there that exists. The fact of the matter is that that's an idealization. It's the same thing for quality women. That's why when people say, well, there's no such thing. Are there women who are better than other women? Yeah, of course there are. But the quality woman thing that's in your head is an idealization. And so if all you're vetting for, if all you're thinking about is that fucking idealization, then you're going to be very disappointed with that person when she turns out to be somebody that because circumstances change, people's personality changes. So understand, vetting's important, but within a framework, within understanding, human nature and women's nature in specific. So to say that that's the be all end all, that tells me that you're just focusing on that idealization, and anything else is just like, you're going to demonize guys for going out there and getting the experience that you were unable or unwilling to go get earlier on in life. and then you're going to come and tell other people like this is what you should be. You should be vetting for the same qualities of my quality woman idealization that's in my head right now. That's what they think. And if you don't, then there's something wrong with you. And then suddenly, you know, fuck you. We're not going to have anything to do with you. You're teaching men you're radicalizing men online or some shit. No, I'm telling you the fucking truth. And you have to fucking understand this stuff. And if you don't understand this stuff, you're going to be hobbled. You're going to be fucking handicapped. And all these guys want to do is have you focus on their idealizations and handicap you along the way.
And take your money while they do it.
Yeah.
What about you, John? Oh, here, I had you muted because you were eating popcorn real loud.
Was I?
Close us out, John. What do you got to finish us off?
Rolo, that was such an INFJ thing of you to say. I just got to say. Guys, I'm on vacation, so I'm here just getting ready to. I'm going from one island tomorrow to another island on Monday, but in the meantime, I will be doing some travel live streams. So I'm in Okinawa. I'm heading out to a desolate island that has not been polluted or anything. It is heaven on earth. I've got my batteries. I got my Wi-Fi. Go to my YouTube channel, Modern Life Dating. Click subscribe. We're going to do a full trip. I'm getting on a ferry boat and taking an hour-and-a-half ferry boat out to this island. I'm going to be live streaming the entire thing. Then we have to ride our bikes up this mountain. This is going to be a very, very physically challenging thing. Then we have to ride down. And then finally we get to this island oasis. And the beach is beautiful. There's sea turtles swimming around. The water is clear like ice. It's going to be a wonderful thing. It'll take, the whole trip is probably going to take in 2 hours for me to get from port to beach. But I'll be doing that and a couple other things. And then I'm going to go off to another island Monday morning. I'm taking another ferry, which is 4 hours to Yoron, Y-O-R-O-N. And then we're going to go on that famous disappearing beach. Like it only appears for like 2 hours. So you like set up chairs, you can sit, you can drink and have a good time. And then after 2 hours, the tide comes in and the beach disappears and you have to jump on the boat and go there. So I might get we might go full Harry Dunn and Lloyd Christmas and rent a motor scooter and sail around the whole island. And I might live stream that as well. But other than that, September 27th is Body Language Mastery Q3 for the signups. We've got Ryan, who's going to be an affiliate. And then we've got, I believe, Rich and a couple of other people. I think Carl may be interested as well. But we are really pushing for the last 2 quarters because after this, the elite guys are going to be locked out. Finally, August 31st is Hot Dude Con, Orlando, Florida, 2019. We are going to Outback Steakhouse. We're eating bloomin' onions. We're getting loaded mashed potatoes. We're getting huge steaks. We're getting lobster toppings. Okay, they're trying to get somebody to join us out of pure goodwill, and I'm gonna have to really lay down my sales tactics for him to join us. But if he does join us, it will be a wonderful event. And then after that, we're going downtown to the Courtesy, which is a craft cocktail bar, where we'll be doxing ourselves. And then we're going to go to the Corona cigar bar, and we're going to dox ourselves there. And then I'm going to come back onto Rule Zero next week after the doxing, and I'm going to blame it on Rolo, and we're going to create some more drama for publicity. And then I'm going to go off and start the Hot Dude Zero cast. So basically, come to Hot Dude Con August 31st, Orlando, Florida. It's going to be great.
Carl, I don't know if you can follow it up, but please try.
Well, it's kind of hard to follow John when he goes on a roll like that, but I'm just going to make it simple when it comes to betting. Every guy marries a quality woman, and every man divorces a cunt.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there was no guy who was ever standing at the altar. Yeah, I'm marrying her. She's a total bitch. She doesn't fuck me. she's annoying, she nags, but I'm marrying her anyway. Every guy was like, oh, she's the apple of my eye. She's the greatest girl I've ever met. And every guy, when they get divorced, is like, what the fuck was I thinking marrying that? And that's why vetting is not the best of ideas. Because your ego invested when you start, and then when you finally see reality is when you're sitting there with half your assets on the line 10, 15 years further down the path. And, I'll be honest, like my ex-wife fit many of the vetting criteria. She was a good religious girl, had a limited notch count. At least I thought so, but she was one of those women where, dicks just started falling out. It's like, yeah, I have a notch count of 3, and then suddenly you hear about Steve and James and Chad and Bobby, and suddenly you start to add up all these names, and it's like, this is more than 3. I'm not great with math, but how did you do the math on your notch count here? She seemed like a normal girl, but she was batshit crazy. It's something I learned like the 3rd time I told her no. And, it all culminated in me almost getting, my bathroom almost turning into a scene on Law and Order, where it's like, okay, the guy's dead in the bathroom with the stab wound in his back. What's this? As the investigator on the Jeffrey Epstein case, I have to say that's clearly a suicide. Couldn't have been anything else. He stabbed himself twice in the back. Clearly a suicide there. So, for all the means, go with vetting and get to know the person you're dating. It goes for anything. Just get to know them. And I said this at the start of the cast, but don't think that because you think you know how they are right now, that will be a static variable going forward. People change and circumstances change. And I think this is a main reason why divorce is going up now too, because if I look back at history, your life didn't change much after 18 if you go back to the early 1900s. Most of the time you lived the same life throughout your life, and that was it. Now you finish college at 25. You start to get into your career at 25, 26. You have a lot of traveling to do. You get a lot of new experiences. You get a lot more impulses than you used to. And as a result, people change a lot more than they used to do. This is why growing apart becomes a huge problem. So what happens is the girl you marry at 22 isn't the same woman you'll be married to at 32, 42, 52. They're going to be different people, and you won't be the guy they married either. So you just have to keep in mind that while vetting can tell you some things, like if she has a notch count of 450 by the time she's 17, odds are there are some daddy issues involved. I mean, odds are her sex life is probably on Pornhub. But we can't be trash talk daddy issues. My notch count would be half of what it is without it, and there would be no Pornhub without daddy issues. So let's just go with that one. And every one of us has our damage and our baggage. And the important thing in my world is you don't want to be with someone who brings out the worst sides in you. And you don't want to be with someone for whom you bring out their worst sides. And that's what I think vetting is for. It's to figure out what effect does this person have on me. Once you get beyond that, all you have are preferences. What do you want your life to be like? Mm-hmm. And if you see that this person is not conducive to the life you want to live, then you either have to bring them in line or you have to get them out of your life. Because in the end, this is your life. You get one of them and it's all about you. So don't be a narcissistic twit, but don't be a codependent idiot either. Like no one lays on their deathbed is like, oh yeah, I wish I'd fucked less girls. I wish I'd thumped more Bible. I wish I'd went to church 3 more times, and I seriously wish I wouldn't have done all that cocaine. It's like no one, and I think that's the life best lived. You will always have regrets, but it's always better to regret something you did than something you didn't do. Yeah. And if you get kind of dragged into the whole get married at 18, if that works out for you, that's amazing, and I think that's great for you. but left a lot of experiences on the table, and I got a ton of shit when I said this. But you want to get the majority of your personality built before you include someone else in your life, because you will adapt and change based on the person you're dating or the person you're living with or married to. So you want to have a serious, your personality is always changing, but you want to have as many experiences as possible so you can know what you like. And that's the best advice I can give on vetting, is just know what you like so you have a good, solid foundation for basing your preferences on. Everyone thinks, like, a lot of people will think they like one thing, but they don't actually know if they like it before, because you have to try it a few times. Like, I used to think that I liked smoking weed, and I tried that a few 100,000 times. But in the end, I found out that it has a really, really bad effect on me, because I lose all motivation to do anything on it. So while I enjoyed the weed smoking and watching Harold and Kumar Goes to White Castle, it wasn't conducive to the life I wanted to lead. And so in the end, while I enjoyed the momentary things in it, didn't put me on a good long-term track. And it's the same with a relationship with a woman or anyone else. You can enjoy being with the most toxic, negative person in the world because they're funny on occasion. But what is the long-term effect of you having a relationship with them? That's what you need to look at.
I like that. All right, so I'll end it off. First off, modernlifedating.com, therationalmale.com, blacklabellogic.com. You guys won't go wrong by following their content and totally harping on what Carl said. My little sister, tattoos, horse girl, called her grad partner a faggot in front of both of our families. A ball-busting chick. She met a good man and she started acting right. My girl, tons of tattoos, had colored hair when we met, spent more time in the bar than I did, which was saying something. I don't care about these vetting values. Yeah, but here's the thing. When she was with me, she acted right. It's like Rollo said, a girl will crawl through broken glass for a man she truly desires. And my job was to make sure that whatever a girl's notch count was, that I didn't bother me, because my notch count was plenty good enough for me. And so if you get there, all these values, which are really just hedges against the things that you're insecure about anyway, go away. And then you can force on boundaries. These are the things I will put up with, and these are the things I will not put up with. And if the girl does the things you will put up with, and she usually will if she wants to be with you, and she stops doing the things you won't, then do what you will with that. But if you guys don't mind staying online, I wouldn't mind like a quick little after chat, but we're going to let you guys go and have our little private chat. But thank you so much. Again, modernlifedating.com. Do not forget about the body language mastery coming up next quarter.
September 27th, motherfuckers. September 27th.
And if you need a reminder, my email newsletter, that's ryanstone.com/newsletter. I will be talking about that incessantly because I think it's valuable. Rational Male, Rollo Tomasi, 4th book coming on pretty soon about religion, as soon as people stop stepping on his name. Carl, Black Label Logics. I know there's a book 3 down the pipe. I don't know when it's coming, but you'll see me and him Red Morning on Saturday mornings before this, and then me. Just follow me. I'll let you know what I'm doing, but I'll catch you guys later.
Love you.